Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
How much stock, if any, are you putting into analytics and the way this series has gone? First goal, last goal, special teams, or are you like Kachuk or our guy Billy Lindsay? They've both said it doesn't matter how we got here. It's about one game. Where are you on that?
Well, I think if you're an Oilers fan right now, you're saying, yeah, I like all the numbers. All the numbers are on our side. If you're a Panthers fan, you're saying, you know what? No, it comes down to one game. Forget about what's happened here in the past three. Let's get it back and get back to where we were earlier in the series. Now, to get back to where they were earlier in the series, clearly Bob's going to have to be better than Stuart Skinner, which hasn't been the case here in the last three games. I think you're going to have the bottom six guys for the Panthers step up, like the Oilers' bottom six guys who stepped up here in the past three games. And you're going to need to have a Sam Reinhart sighting. Like, we know that a week from now, he's got the potential to hit the open market. If the Panthers want to get him signed, they'll try and get him signed. But the reality is he's got one goal so far in the first six games. I think that's got to change for the Panthers to have an opportunity tonight, Rod.
I think we can all agree home ice means nothing, especially when you consider the last three Game 7s the road team won in this. I don't know why it means nothing, but it means nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, lately that's been the case, but in history, I mean, this is the 18th Game 7 in Stanley Cup final history, and the home team's gone 12-5. So there are some numbers to back up the fact that the home team can have some success. But for the Panthers, we just touched on it, right? You have to play the game from in front. You can't continue to chase against a team like the Oilers and against a goaltender that's playing with as much confidence right now as Stuart Skinner is, too. And you want to read more into the numbers, too, Rod. Games 4 through 7, we know what the numbers tell us about Stuart Skinner. He's a much different goaltender than he usually is the first three games of a series, right? So give him credit. We wonder about Canada's goalie for the Four Nations and for the Olympics. Maybe it's this guy still, number 74 for Edmonton, because he seems to have an ability to come up big when it matters most.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're downtown on the weekend, downtown Toronto, and I was about to turn right when in the rearview mirror I noticed a cyclist coming right by, hit the brakes, narrowly avoided hitting him. He turned, waved at me, said thank you. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a near-death experience. I thought I was going to end up in the news.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, I know that we skimmed over that story of Moose's yesterday about Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was the day of Game 7, man. We didn't want to hear about Arnold, but we've got more time to do that today as we recap Game 7 and look ahead to summer. Welcome to the program live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. That's where I'm at. Moose is in Toronto. And Moose, I was just looking at the thumbnail, which you made, and I appreciate you doing that for today's show and the topics that we have coming up on the program today. And I just want to say this. What does summer look like to you? Once hockey season's over, I feel like we all think the way we think is the way everybody thinks, and it's not. Because it's the Rod Pedersen Show, I'll go first. Summer for me has become a few other things, because it looks like I'm going back to Florida this weekend for the Stanley Cup parade for the Panthers. But that aside, it's CFL football, it's Blue Jays when they're winning, it's lake life, it's swatting mosquitoes, visiting friends. But we're being deep into the CFL and watching every game as I can. And now it's become WCBL baseball too, which, by the way, coming up, we've got Tyler Hollick, the general manager, and Lou Pote, the head coach of the Oakland Dogs today, as well as Jeff Paterson from RinkWide Vancouver. But what's summer for you?
Yeah, you nailed all the great things, man. It's CFL football. It's spending time outside, coffees on the deck, visiting. For me, it's a lot of golf. It's tennis. It's those things as well. Big part of my summer rituals. But that's it, man. Hockey goes to rest for a bit. It's short, but it's going to be fun to kind of relax a little bit.
That's the thing. I got up and went for a run outside today. I was going to ride the stationary bike inside, but I'm like, we don't get a lot of summer good weather here, and Western Canada, so I'm going to go outside for a run. I can't live on this diet of pizza and blizzards. God knows I would love to. Joe and I'm staying with my business manager, Joe Gunn. We're living like we're 15, and it's amazing, but I can't do it forever. So I started running today outside, and if we get bad weather, I'll go inside. What?
Do I gotta be like Mike Lowry? You know, you're like Martin Lawrence,
And
man. You go in, you got 60 seconds in the convenience store. Okay, get your ginger ale. Meanwhile, this would be you. 3 bites into the hot dog. It's got the Skittles pack ready to go. That's like you at the movie theater.
You know it. You know me, Martin Lawrence. I'll give you $1,000 for a bag of Skittles. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? And we'll get down to the... You got to go to Bad Boys Ride or Die. You'll know what all these movie references are for me and Moose. Yeah, it's that kind of movie, man. It's iconic.
I'm going to go again.
So we start with this. Oh, yeah, I'm going again. There was no historic collapse, which, by the way, before we go any further, Clark, Director Jordan, and Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, were right. It's pronounced ahistoric. Right, Clark? Is that what we said? Ahistoric, not an historic. I looked it up. Both are acceptable, but the formal English is ahistoric collapse. Didn't happen last night. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions for the first time, and they took about the hardest path possible to the NHL championship. Sam Reinhart and Carter Verhaeghe scored goals. Sergei Bobrovsky made 23 saves. And the Panthers edged the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. No, I wasn't there. I was in Moose Jaw. I'm still there. But the Stanley Cup parade, I found out from my peeps, is Sunday, and I think I'm going to go back for it. That's where I think I got to be. That's a feeling that I have. But beyond that, I'm so happy for the Panthers. I'm so happy for not just the guys that you saw lifting the cup, Tkachuk, Paul Maurice. They're blown away still in Winnipeg that he said he hopes the Jets are the next team to win the Stanley Cup. We'll get to that. Bobrovsky, Barkov, all those guys that you all see, but there's also the people behind the scenes, the broadcasters, obviously, the PR people that have been with the team 10 years, 20 years, all 30 years. I can't even imagine the elation for them. And to be honest, we're all where we're supposed to be. While I was invited to be down for that, I'm like, no, that's your moment. I've won championships, and I know what it feels like. You guys celebrate that because you earn it. And you cannot enjoy or appreciate the light in life once you have experienced the darkest of the dark. That is a fact. And they're enjoying the light. And that party, they've been partying all night, by the way. There's videos. They've taken the cup down to the ocean. It's been in the ocean. They've been on the second deck of the Elbow Room Bar right at the corner of Los Olas Boulevard and Fort Lauderdale Beach Boulevard. 2 boulevards intersect there. And they're pouring beer off the second balcony into people's mouths on the street. People are sending me photos. It's what it should be. And we'll get to the orders in a second, but it was a great night for the Game 7. It was awesome, wasn't it?
It was. You talk about the people that, don't get the same recognition, right? And the people you don't see hoisting the cup. Well, one guy, if we could take it back for a second, that we saw hoist the cup, Josh Mahura. Won't get his name on the Stanley Cup because he didn't dress, didn't play in the Cup Finals, didn't get to play through the playoffs, but significant part of the team. He played throughout the year. He'll likely get a ring. They had him out in his gear. He was part of the team. That's what Paul Maurice does. He makes everybody involved. He talked about the 9 guys. He talked about Eric and Mark Stahl. Talked about the guys who had been there that are gone from last year's run. They're part of this too. They're not going to get rings. They're not going to get their name on the cup, but that's a big part of it. And I know there's a lot more we'll get into about this cup, but I feel pretty good for those people.
It's really interesting that you say that. Because you're right, they'll get rings, they won't get their name on the cup. My dad has a Stanley Cup ring, his name isn't on the cup. Let's just say that's a very special thing to have your name on the cup, but it just is a case-by-case scenario, right? Wayne Gretzky has his name on the Grey Cup. He didn't play, but he was the owner of the Argos in 1991 that did win the Grey Cup, so it is what it is. But the main thing is you did win it, you did lift it, the best team won. There's a lot to unpack here. And the Oilers fans, before we go any further, because we'll get to that, you can all write in and tell me what's next for you, because I haven't delved into that yet. I've been on the riding the wave of the Panthers' euphoria of them winning. And here comes all the Millers baseball players to work out today. We got the Saskatoon Berries in town tonight. But what's going on in Florida, everybody's excited. But there's also this, Darren, it's a new time in sports where if you came out as a Panthers fan and you felt like your team was going to blow it and lose Game 7, people screenshotted that. So that's floating around going, you gave up on your team. You're not allowed to cheer. And I get it. I'm just so darn happy that I didn't give up on them. I had them picked to win Game 7. So I was like, not me. I figured they were going to win, and they did. It's a great feeling to have faith in your team. And it's a war amongst those that just in the heat of the moment said that they're going to blow this. But that's welcome to sports in 2024, bro.
Yeah, it's a natural human emotion when you're going to blow it to get upset and count the loss before it's a loss, right? We count wins before they're wins. We count money before it's in the bank. And we often are so overdramatic and catastrophic that we mark the loss before it happens. I hate this. This is in the bag of post-game trash talk that I don't like. There is no need for that. You know, if you jumped off the bandwagon, it doesn't mean you can't feel good about the team winning and be elated. You know, when you think all else fails, it feels better. It feels better if you stayed on the bandwagon and hung on and had the faith all the way through. It feels better, but it still feels good for your team to win. And there's no point in rubbing that in people's faces.
No, but that's what people do. And again, stay on the bandwagon or don't. This is all I'll say. I'm held accountable for everything I say, on the air and off. In life, people still bring up things that I said personally and professionally 20 years ago. I'm held accountable for it. So I'm not going to let people off the hook because, I was just blowing off steam. Nope, sorry, because I don't get that luxury. I'm not giving you that luxury. Sorry. I can't be any more clear on that. You better mean what you say because I mean what I say. Okay. Moving on. Elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance. GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. Oh, we do have some good CFL stuff coming up, by the way, and baseball and more NHL stuff, including this. Edmonton Oilers captain Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe Trophy Monday night as the most valuable player of the NHL playoffs after an incredible postseason and finished one win short of a Stanley Cup. McDavid had 8 goals, 34 assists to lead the playoffs with 42 points. Jaya Jaguar of the 03 Anaheim Mighty Ducks was the last player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, but not the Stanley Cup. Old-timers, help me out here if I have this right. The one that really sticks in my mind was Ron Hextall, me being a goalie guy, of a goalie that won the Conn Smythe as MVP, but his team lost, and that was in the 87 Stanley Cup final, which many feel was the best final ever played, or the Flyers were the best team to ever lose the Stanley Cup. I don't know, but that's our poll question. If you don't like it, blame producer Clark. Frankly, I like the question.
How about that?
The poll is, should a player from the losing team ever win the Conn Smythe? And it's an easy yes. If the MVP, if the best player didn't happen to play on the winning team, so what? It's not the first time. It's probably not going to be the last time. And I think Lemieux did too. Can somebody clarify? I think Lemieux won it despite the Penguins losing, if I'm right. But I might not be right on that. But your take on Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe and also not coming out of the dressing room to accept it. I think we need to talk about that for a second or two.
Yeah, I didn't love that the fans in the building booed him winning the Conn Smythe right away. But as they announced it, there was more cheers that came through. So that was okay. I'm 50-50 on it. You know, on the one hand, it's really tough to come out, and I kind of would have liked to see him come out and get the Conn Smythe. And if he would, I think there would have been a bigger ovation and more of a celebrating him for a moment, because he deserves that. He deserves to have a moment to be celebrated for what he did in these playoffs. It was incredible. But at the same time, and this is where I lean, that it's okay that he didn't. This is the side I lean on because, you know, it was the Panthers moment. It's not the Connor McDavid moment at that time. He doesn't really care about the trophy at this moment. So let the Panthers have their celebration and don't try and overshadow it. I'm okay with it.
Sure. Well, so that's why I don't really know. Things change, so I'm not going to be the codger shaking my fist at the cloud. Used to be, you would stay out there and watch the opposition get presented with a cup or presented with their medals. Then that's still the thing in some sports and some leagues. I guess it's not in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And we have not yet got to the orders. Valiant effort. As you said, nobody's trouncing them. Nobody's calling out McDavid for being shut out in Game 7. He's still the MVP. He was still the best player in the series. His team didn't win. Randy from Winnipeg, can you clarify? He writes and he says, Reggie Leach is the only other non-goalie to win the Conn Smythe. What do you mean? It hasn't been all goalies.
I assume on a losing
without winning
team.
the Stanley Cup? Okay, thank you. Because then you're going back to the 70s. John Ohm says he's about to take off. He's on a plane, so let's get John Ohm in. Ohm says...
Don't be cheap. Buy the Wi-Fi. Buy the Wi-Fi.
He says, Pomo's saying, the guys from the Hockey Hall of Fame do. They've been, the guys that carried the cup out last night watch this show every day because they tell me, and Darren's met them. John Ohm says, Pomo saying he hopes the Winnipeg Jets are the next Stanley Cup champions was icing on the cake. I was a little like Hustler because he tweeted this after. He's like, he didn't just say that, right? He just won the Stanley Cup and he's saying that? Like it's one of those things where if you watch the interview, he went out of his way to get that in there. He didn't have to say that. But listen, man, everybody knows I've had a tough time biting my tongue the last 5-6 years. I have no idea. Well, now Paul Maurice also wasn't fired. He did walk away. But on all of that, I would say, and nobody will, but it's for today, folks, can you make a note of be careful who you run out of town? Because look what happened with Paul Maurice. Clearly, he wasn't the problem. Yet everybody thought that he was. So I know that we're a couple of squirrels here jumping all over the place, but again, there was a time that you stayed on the playing field, the ice, the diamond, to watch the other team be presented with a trophy. I guess you don't do that anymore. So I'm not going to say call out McDavid. Darren and I had a talk on the phone this morning. The media has changed. Sports has changed. And I respect Connor McDavid too much to say anything untoward about him, that he didn't come out for it. It was an emotional moment. Am I right on that it's changed? Do you know what I mean? I don't know if Hextall, I believe there's photos of Hextall being on the ice getting that constant. I'm pretty sure I watched it. I mean, it was 40 years ago, so I feel a little fuzzy. But is it a case of times have changed and you don't have to be out there and watch the other team celebrate anymore?
Yeah, I don't know the last time someone's watched, somebody actually have the cup. It did seem like the handshake line happened pretty fast. They were still celebrating. There was only half the Panthers got into the handshake line right away. They all eventually did. The Oilers got to that pretty quick because they want to get out of there. And because social media is such a big thing, and everybody wants to capture you in your worst moment and then laugh at you on the internet and post it, we're in an age where people are afraid to be vulnerable. And you look at a lot of these great Stanley Cup commercials, historical moments of watching guys on the blue line, and put my coffee down, with their stick, and their hands on, and they're crying, and those moments break your heart. But when those players eventually win, it busts your heart open because you feel so good for them. Ray Bourque is a great example, right? It's the example. We're scared to be vulnerable, so we just get out of there quick. We say cliche answers in the postgame and get out of there quick because we're scared to say, this sucks. I'm devastated. I don't know how to pick up the pieces, and this is going to be really difficult. We're scared to be vulnerable.
Which, by the way, McDavid did say all those things. He did meet with the media. It's not like he didn't. Yeah. So all I'll say is I would have liked to have seen him come out, but I guess it's a different time. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and he says, first and foremost, McDavid is an ambassador. He should have come out and be fined for not doing it. We all have to do things we don't want to. So there's that, but he's also a Flames fan. So just say that. I'm worried about this, where they say we don't have to do things we don't want to do. And I might be wrong on this. You think about it in the break. But if little kids say, I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to brush my teeth today. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to school because I have to write a test today. Connor McDavid didn't come out because he didn't want to. That's where my mind goes. It's what Jeff's saying, but it's not saying that we're right. All the other sports when we come back. Plus, let me just throw this in about Sam Reinhart, who scored the winning goal last night. And I know you have a thought. I got to get to what you said earlier about Darren. Can I say?
Yeah, sure.
That you had a vision, which is really cool to me. Like, I believe in it. I believe in that. And we'll talk about that as the program goes along. But Sam Reinhart joined a club, and I have to go back and check on this, but there's only 3 other guys until last night that had scored 50 or more goals in the regular season, and then the cup clincher. 3 other guys. And I got them. Yari Curry, Guy Lafleur, and Mike Bossy. What are you laughing at?
Say Yari Curry one more time. I love that.
Yari Curry. It's from Boys on the Bus. Yari Curry.
Yes.
Scored for the Edmonton Oilers. Curry, Guy Lafleur, and Mike Bossy, and now Sam Reinhart. That's something, man. Okay, we'll be right back. We're in the warm-up. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men Without Hats. And Spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Peterson Show.
Couple notes, a reminder to reward your love for movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today. It's their rewards program. You can go to landmarkcinemas.com, pick the program you'd like. You're going to go to the movies anyways, so just rack up the rewards. You end up getting free movies, free concession items, plus they invite you to special events as well. And the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team plays at a SaskTel Center, offering the best entertainment for all of Saskatchewan sports fans. Their season's underway. They got their NBA experienced head coach, Larry Abney, who comes from the Clippers. Get your tickets now. They're home Saturday night to Niagara, visiting Ticketmaster.ca, or head on down to their ticket office in downtown Saskatoon. If we can bring the Moose back in, I had planned on going to Saturday night's game, but now I really think I'm going to go back to Florida for the Stanley Cup break. I've been invited to go back just by my friends. I look at the Millers' schedule. They're not at home this weekend. It's all playing out that I could go, and I just feel like I need to be there. And more than anything, I feel like I want to be there. You know, I've been gone for over a month as it is. And, yeah, on the McDavid thing, Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, and he says, I'm not sure I've said this too often, but a pretty solid take today by Stephen A. Smith on Connor McDavid. Worth a listen. I'm sorry I haven't seen that. I'll have to look it up. And from my friend Brent in Wellington, Florida, he says, hats off to the Oilers fans. They were very respectful and were offering congrats. Yeah, I get a lot of messages from people watching on Game Plus TV up in Edmonton every day, and I got to say the Oilers fans just came off so classily unreal. But that's them. That's them. Oh. They lost. They lost. And they're congratulating Panthers fans. There's not, I feel like, a lot of fan bases that would do that. Not joking.
People were talking about the Oilers fans and saying, you know, Panther fans weren't showing up because there were so many Oilers fans at Game 7. Well, a lot of those Panther fans saw opportunities for dollars, right? I mean, those are big, expensive tickets. I get that. But I joked on the internet, on Twitter or X, that, you know, it was like the Oilers fans were being called in as to deliver a course, you know, in how to be a fan. And half the building showed up Oilers fans to teach Panther fans how to be fans, because they've been great. And I'm not saying anything about Panther fans. They've been awesome. But things that I don't normally see at a Panther game is singing the anthem so loud, getting the Let's Go Panthers chants going crazy. But it was like the Oilers fans came, started singing "O Canada." So then the Panther fans like, oh, that's what we do. They started singing the Star Spangled Banner louder. Then the Oilers fans started Let's Go Oilers. Then the Panther fans like, oh, Let's Go Panthers, louder. And it made for one of these incredible Game 7 experiences where these two fan bases were trying to one-up each other all night. It was awesome.
Well, it's funny you say that because I didn't have the American feed. I'm like you. I'm watching Sportsnet. So I got media in the press box in American Bank Arena texting me going, this is louder than games 1 and 2, or even Game 5. And I'm like, well, they're saying on Sportsnet it's because of the Oilers fans, which is what you're just saying. And they're like, no, it's not that. I kind of think that it is. It's what you're just
like
saying.
A cattle prod to the Panther fans.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if Panthers fans will stay like this or not. But we had that chat the other day about different fan bases. Not everyone's the same. Like, Leaf fans came in and did their thing. They were harmless. We all got a kick out of them in Florida when they were there. But I put this on Twitter last night. I said, these Oilers fans are making Leaf fans look like lightweights in terms of just their boisterous and sheer numbers. They were loud. They were there in numbers. And I was starting to get a feeling like, oh, my God, this is their night. I was starting to think that. But then the Panthers just weren't going to let that happen. And I'll say again, that's who I was polling for, is the Panthers. But I will say this. Serena was there at the game, and she said she had about 4 people come up to her and say either, where's Rod, or I know you from the Rod Pedersen show. Can I get a selfie? I'm looking for those photos today and who these people are. I said to you on the phone this week, that kind of opened her eyes up as to what we do here. That stuff don't surprise me, but it shocked her. A baseball note, the Toronto Blue Jays will be aiming to snap a 7-game losing streak tonight when they face the surging Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. Righty Kevin Gausman will be on the mound for the Jays, whose bullpen blew a 6-2 lead in the 8th last night and lost 7-6 to the Red Sox. Can I just point this out again? Summer to me is watching every CFL game that I can, probably 3 a week of the 4, sometimes 4. Blue Jays when they're winning, and then going to the lake with friends and swatting mosquitoes and that. The Blue Jays suck, and I don't. My timeline's full of a lot of that stuff. Fire this guy, fire that guy, and I'm like, I can't. Now I'm calling WCBL, which tonight there are 5 games. Here tonight in Moose Jaw, we have the Saskatoon Berries in town. Swift Current is at Regina as the Red Sox go for a 12th straight win. Weyburn in Edmonton, Sylvan Lake at Okotoks, and Lethbridge at Brooks. Just throwing that out there. You were gonna, you huffed a laugh there. What were you gonna say? You recall?
No, I mean, just you mentioned the Blue Jays, the 6-2 lead that they blew last night. It was Barger, the third baseman, on the infield fly. That was kind of the start of it when he couldn't, make that catch, and Nate Pearson rolled his eyes, the pitcher, and it was just the wheels are coming off, man. I think there's going to be some. It's going to get worse before it gets better in Toronto with the Jays.
I think all of okay, this is a great segue. All of Canada is like me outside of Toronto. We follow the Jays when they're winning, period. But other than that, we got other things that we turn our attention to. It's like those Panthers fans that get so upset when Serena called them bandwagon jumpers. Well, didn't go to the games when they were bad. So I'm like those Panther fans. So I get their mindset, whereas she's just a serious gal where she's like, Oilers fan, that rink's full, and Edmonton has been win or lose every game since 1978. Well, not every fan base is like that. Leafs fans are like that, and 2 people getting a nerve touched. You can call it small man syndrome in a way if you want, but it's just with what I said yesterday about the CFL, how they haven't engaged their fans, or what I say, they neglected their own product and their fans. The guy that he didn't rip me, but he came at me on Facebook about this. He said, what do you mean? The product's great. You're not getting it, bro, and you're a season ticket holder driving from Alberta every game. You're not who I'm talking about. We all know the CFL product's great. That's not what my intention was. We all watch all the games. If I didn't think the CFL product was tremendous, I wouldn't watch every game. It's fantastic. The problem is, when I say they neglected their product, they're not marketing it. Back to Orridge when he was the commissioner. We need to be in the phones. We need to connect with the young people. And then the new commissioner, Randy, well, he's not new anymore, came in since 2017, said all the same things. They're not doing it. So with the stats screw-ups and being only on one network and a variety, just not being in the community, certainly not to the degree that they were, and whether they're trying to be NFL light or trying to be Canadian NHL team, I don't know what they're trying to be. But the stadiums aren't full. So don't get mad at me. The product is great, and if that's your takeaway, the guy said, what are you watching? Watching the same thing you are, bro. The athletes are fantastic. That's why I keep watching. If it was bad, I wouldn't watch. Now, some guy in the States wrote into this, and he goes, I love the hometown charm of that. Okay, fine. But you're not. It used to be big league. It was. And it's not anymore. And that's what ticks me off, and that's what triggered me yesterday. It started that whole rant. So you knew what I meant. I'm just trying to clarify here for everybody else what I meant. The product's great, but there's more to the product than just what we're seeing on the field. You need to put it out to the world, and they're not.
Yeah. No, and we want to see this league be as great as it can be. And that's the underlying situation in all of this, is the product is fantastic. And I believe last year was the best year we've seen in a while, especially going in and out of the pandemic. And this year's off to an even better start than last year was. So the product is trending in the right direction. There's a lot of really great things, but we got to make sure we continue to move the business of it forward and the marketing and get those buildings full again. That's not up to the coaches and the players to get the buildings full, but that's what needs to happen next.
Okay, so, yeah, well, here come all the comments, which is what we do here. I'm going to have to push those, so hang on, everybody, for hour 2. Because we do have Jeff Paterson coming up from Vancouver. But what caught my eye, you might have seen, Daryl Slade has written me from Calgary. And you know Rob Vanstone is the historian of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Daryl Slade is the historian of the Calgary Stampede. And he's a great guy. We used to always visit in the press box. And he's just texted me a screenshot of a tweet of his. He goes, tough luck to the Edmonton Oilers, but congrats to Florida Panthers and Sam Reinhart, who scored the winning goal in their Stanley Cup win. Sadly, my neighbor and Sam's uncle, Tom Van Hoot, passed away suddenly during the Cup run last year and missed this big win. Tom is much missed. And then, so Daryl's texted me, he says, Rod, I thought you might be interested in this. Tom Van Hoot lived in the same condo complex as me. We used to talk about Sam while walking our dogs. His sister is married to Paul Reinhart. Flames great. Sam's dad. Back to the Atlanta days. I had his hockey card, Atlanta Flames. Tom had a sudden heart attack during the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs and died. Signed, Daryl Slade in Calgary. Well, thank you, Daryl. And listen, I'm sorry, man. Call me a kook if you want, but I believe Tom sees this and what his nephew did. We're good. Sam's good, right? The Reinhart family's good. Man, it doesn't end when you pass. That's what I think when it comes to eternal life. We'll talk about your vision next hour, Moose, okay? We'll let you go, but this has been fun. It's going by fast, hey?
Oh, great show today, and yeah, we'll talk about that in about 20 minutes.
We're going to Vancouver next. Okotoks in hour 2. Tyler Hollick and Lou Pote from the Dogs will be with us on our weekly WCBL feature. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shannon Doa.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shannon Doa live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Peterson.
Hey, everybody. As you know, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by our good friends at Common Crown Beer in Calgary. Common Crown Brewing, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. We don't, I believe, talk enough Vancouver Canucks or Vancouver sports overall, because we have a lot of viewers out there. We're bringing in Jeff Paterson from Sekeres and Price and RinkWide Vancouver. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you. I don't know, has summer began for you after the Game 7 last night or no?
Yeah, what are we into? A couple of days here before we get back to NHL awards and the draft on the weekend and free agency. So round and around and around it goes. But hey, this year was a little different. The Canucks played till the May long weekend, Rod, which is something they haven't done in a long, long time. So the offseason has felt shorter, certainly, but a lot of anticipation and a busy week ahead for the Vancouver Canucks. They've got some key decisions to make on their own free agents. And if they aren't able to retain them, they're going to have some money to play with. And we'll see what they do here when the free agent window opens on July 1st.
You know, I want to ask you about that, but first, can you give me a Vancouver perspective on that Stanley Cup final? Because you went to Game 7 against the Oilers as it was, right? Like, how are Canucks fans looking at what happened in that series?
A lot of love for Roberto Luongo, and you can understand why. And it was reciprocated. You saw Bobby Lou when he got his hands on the cup, and in his interview on the ice, talked about all the people in Vancouver that have followed him and supported him. Still a wildly popular figure here in Vancouver. Got to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup back in 2011. Didn't get it right, but a lot of people here happy to see him finally get his hands on the cup. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's just a fascinating story. A year ago, bought out, gets his $20 million to move on. The Canucks didn't think that he had it in him, at least not as a top pairing defenseman, but there's still life in Oliver Ekman-Larsson. There was a role for him and a great pickup by the Florida Panthers. And you think back early in the season when they were without Ekblad and without Montour, that guy played a ton and played well for them, and then sort of settled into his role. And Gustav Forsling was a Canucks draft pick, a fifth rounder back in 2014, one that got away clearly. He also got away from Chicago and Carolina, but there were a lot of people here watching his rise in the National Hockey League and thinking, oh man, wouldn't Gustav Forsling look awfully good on the Vancouver Canucks blue line?
Right. I'm sure they're in Philly and Columbus are saying the same thing about Bob.
For sure.
It's sports. It is what it is. So you talked about the week ahead for the Canucks, the draft, and then free agency. So how's the Canucks next year going to look compared to this past season in your mind? And what are their draft needs? I know that's a big question, but I'm just going to throw it at you and let you go with it.
Well, I'll just say the draft is almost an afterthought. They don't have a first or a second rounder. They're going to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs on their phones until the 93rd pick in the third round. That's when they get into action, and they only have 5 picks in this draft. So I'm not expecting a lot from them, and I'm not expecting them to be active on the trade front to move back into the draft. I think their focus is on what's to come beyond the draft, and that is free agency. And here we are getting down to the 11th hour. It looks like Elias Lindholm is going to test free agency, so he's not going to be back. They paid a fair price, including this year's first rounder, to get him from Calgary. He was good in the playoffs, but turns out that he's just going to be a rental. Nikita Zadorov, another player that they picked up from the Flames earlier in the season. Love affair here with the fan base, and the way that he played in the playoffs, he was terrific. You don't find 6'6", 235-pound mobile defenseman just around the corner, so they've got one, but he's a free agent, and if the Canucks can't meet his needs, he's going to test the market as well. Dakota Joshua was a nice pickup a couple of years ago, late bloomer, big power forward, would have scored 20 if he hadn't been hurt for 18 games. And a big part of their penalty kill, like he'll get some traction on the open market as well. And I'm not sure that the Canucks are going to be able to retain him. And so, these are their issues that, look, they won 50 games, 109 points. They won the Pacific Division in the regular season, but they're in a division with the Edmonton Oilers. They're in a division with the Vegas Golden Knights. And so it's always going to be difficult. You know how competitive the Golden Knights are. Certainly you, of all people, have been following them since their inception, Rod. They're not going to take lightly to getting punted in the first round of the playoffs. And so something tells me that they'll be busy here in the offseason, and the Oilers aren't going anywhere. And in fact, they may be more motivated than ever now to do what Florida did, which was get to the final and then get back there and get it right the second time around. So as much fun as it was here in Vancouver, a lot of guys had career years. That's going to be tough to replicate. That's a bit of a fool's game if you bank on all your guys having career years every single season. And so, the core group's in place. Quinn Hughes is probably going to win the Norris here this week. Thatcher Demko, if he's healthy, can be a difference maker in goal. Big question around Elias Pedersen and the way that his season ended, because he was disappointing and they've committed to him. His new contract kicks in the fall, $11.6 million per season. You're expecting star level performance from a player like that. And then JT Miller. So they've got nice pieces here. There's no question. They should be competitive, but can they raise the stakes off a 50-win, 109-point season? That's not going to be easy. And so big questions here about what they're going to do with this money they've got to play with. Jake Gensel's on their list, but Jake Gensel's going to get his money wherever he goes. He's going to be a hot commodity here in free agency. And so I don't know if the Canucks are going to be able to do enough to convince him to come north of the border and call Vancouver his home for the next bunch of years.
Why I think you've had the longevity you've had is you don't pander to the Canucks. Like I enjoy the objectivity of what you say. And pretty much everything you've said the last couple of years has come true, But is that the toughest? One of the toughest divisions in the NHL. Like Seattle, who knows what they're going to be? San Jose is not going to be good. And who knows about Anaheim? And the Flames aren't even in their own market. They're not expected to make the playoffs, right? The rebuild has started, but that is still a tough division at the top. Is it the toughest in the NHL, do you think?
I think you can make a strong argument because we haven't even talked about the Los Angeles Kings. They were there were 400-plus point teams. Vegas was the wild card in the mix, which tells you something because Vegas, even through its injuries, had a pretty good run. And if they had been healthy, who knows where they ultimately would have finished. But, any division that has 400-point teams at the top, that's, high-rent district. And again, I don't think that a whole lot's going to change in that regard. I don't know if the Canucks get back to 109 points, but there's no reason to think that they can't push 100 points with the core group that they've got as long as they stay healthy. And, the job that Rick Tocchet did, already named Coach of the Year, he was terrific for the Vancouver Canucks. His systems are in place. And so, I think they know who they are and what they are. Now it's about filling around the edges of that core that I mentioned. And again, they've got a wish list like every team going to free agency, but there's not enough star power to go around, and we'll see ultimately if the Canucks can land their big fish here when the window opens.
When Travis Green was hired in Ottawa, we had you on that day and you analyzed it. And I want to ask you this. What about the moves since, including acquiring Linus Ullmark last night? Fascinating interview with Brent Wallace this morning on NHL Radio saying Gary Bettman's going to be mad they dropped this trade on the night of Game 7. Thoughts on the timing of it, and B, what it means for what they're doing with the Senators in this new group there?
Yeah, I like the move. I think Linus Ullmark's proven that he's a top puck stopper in the National Hockey League. And when you got goaltending, Rod, at any level of hockey, you get goaltending, you got a chance. So I'm sure Travis Green delighted. They've just had that roller coaster, merry-go-round of goalies that haven't been able to give them saves in Ottawa. They've got such a good young nucleus there. And now it's a question of, again, support. Like, you can have all the young talent. The Oilers are perfect proof of that for the last decade. You can have, the best players in the world, but if it was about just having the two best players, Oilers would win the Cup every year. It's not. You got to surround your talent, and it feels like Edmonton has finally learned that lesson. Ottawa, I'm not comparing them to Edmonton, but maybe where the Oilers were 6 or 8 years ago. But I like what the Senators have in terms of the good young talent. Big fan of Tim Stützle. Give me all the Kachucks on my team anytime you can. And Brady's a gamer. And then they've got other good. Drake Batherson's a really good player. Shane Pinto has shown that he's a good player. They've got nice pieces there. So I'm really curious to see the job that Travis Green's going to do. Second go around as a full-time head coach, not the interim label that he had in Jersey. And I would say that Steve Staios is off to a pretty good start, acquiring one of the better goaltenders that was out there on the market. And again, you give me a goaltender that can just stabilize things. That's a team that now has a chance, I think, to start gaining some traction.
Great update, Jeff. Thank you. Enjoy whatever you can of summer. I don't think there is one in the NHL anymore, but that's a good thing for guys like you. Thanks for the time, man.
Always great, Roddy. Thanks.
Jeff Paterson joining us from RinkWide Vancouver and St. Carols and Price. We'll be right back with a sports update and whatever viewer takeover we can sneak in. Get your comments in now. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
The studio is the Golden Ticket Sports Center here in beautiful Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Tonight, we, the Moose Jaw Motor Express baseball team, home to the Saskatoon Berries, part of a 5-game slate, I'm sitting here deliberating returning to South Florida for the Stanley Cup parade on Sunday. That might be a good poll question. Should Rod return to Florida for the Stanley Cup? I'm sitting here looking at flights. We're looking at burning about $1,300 for a 2-night. Oiler fans did it. That's what I'm for Game 7. Oiler fans did it. Yeah. Hey, as of this morning, I was doing it. But now, as the show's gone along, I'm like, I'm going to be sitting in the Minneapolis airport on a 2-hour layover on the way to Atlanta for another 2-hour layover going, what were you thinking? So you've all done that, right? Haven't you? And I'm looking here at Expedia. What do you use to book your flights? I feel like we need a sponsorship with Expedia or Red Tag or something. One of these. Anyways, a sports update. Matt Strome scored 66 seconds into overtime as the Hershey Bears edged the visiting Coachella Valley Firebirds 5-4 to win the Calder Cup for a second straight season. Pierrick Dubé scored thrice for the Bears, who won the best-of-7 American Hockey League championship in 6 games. The Bears are the minor league affiliate of the Washington Capitals. And they were talking about this this morning on NHL radio, last night's game. Hershey wins the Calder Cup. And listen, our U.S. viewers are going, why are you talking about that? Because it's a Canadian show, bro, and we care. Now, and I'm going to throw this in for everybody else. I mean, I don't care, but Canada plays Peru today in Copa America Group A action at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. Canada 0-1 after an opening 2-0 loss to top-ranked Argentina on Thursdays in a 4-team pool with Chile, Peru, and Argentina. I'm mentioning it. I won't be watching, but it's not to say that I'm above it. I know some people are into it. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Now playing at Landmark Cinemas, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. This summer, the world's favorite bad boys are back with the iconic mix of edge-of-your-seat action and outrageous comedy. But this time with a twist. Miami's finest are now on the run, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, as if you didn't know. It's so funny. It's so funny. Martin Lawrence, like they're getting old. We're all getting old. And he's got heart issues. He's in the hospital, and he gets sent home, Martin Lawrence, and he's not allowed to have any sweets. He's not allowed to have any. Who hasn't been there? So Will Smith comes over to visit him. I don't want to be a spoiler here, but of course, all Martin Lawrence's wife's feeding him is salad. I'll give you $1,000 if you give me a bag of Skittles. I love Martin Lawrence. You nasty. Also brought to you by the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, your hub for sports, fitness, and community fun. GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. Okay, Monty in Saskatoon. Last hour, he said, go back to the USA. Now you're saying, do not go back to the USA. BW says, I'll send you $20. That should cover the coffee for the flight back to Florida. I'm not worried as much about the money. It's the time. Randy in Winnipeg says, go Canada. I'll be watching. Maybe they can score. Buffalo Bill, mind your own business. He says, is visiting your wife worth $1,300 Canadian?
How about that?
Well, yes, but she's coming up here in a month. So, and by the way, she's not doing well with the Oilers lost last. John says, John Ohm Society. He's on a plane, and he's watching the show. A lot of people like to do that. I find that interesting. He said there's a cat meowing in the back of the plane. How do you know it's a cat? There's a lot of weirdos out there these days. We're coming right back in hour 2 after Happy Wife, Happy Life, says Buffalo. But no, Happy Me, Happy Life. We'll be right back.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it sure as heck is. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. It's not like we haven't been having fun today, but we're going to have even more fun. Hail to the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. Hail to summer because it has arrived. And we're here at the beautiful Moose Jaw Golden Ticket Sports Center. Tonight, the Moose Jaw Millers are home. That's my team to the Saskatoon Berries. That's Darren's team. Let's bring the Moose in now, and let's delve... Just to recap everywhere we've been, Stanley Cup final last night, Game 7. Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe and him not coming out to accept it. I don't have a thought either way. I don't really feel like you do, too. Blue Jays have lost 7 in a row. We talked a little CFL, the Linus Ullmark trade, and mentioned soccer. The Copa America tournament Canada's playing today. That's what we've talked about. I feel like, Darren, we haven't delved enough into you almost killing Arnold Schwarzenegger on the weekend. So I'll give you your due. What was the former governor of California do? Like, you almost hit him with the door of your car, or you almost turned into him, or what was the deal?
I almost turned into him. It was so casual. You know, you're turning right at an intersection, but you notice, there's the bike lanes all down that right side. And as I was looking to make my turn, I see in my mirror, a guy coming got into my blind spot or got into my mirror, right? And I'm like, oh, it's a cyclist. So you hit the brakes and he goes right in front and turns with his, he's got his beard and the white beard, and his perfect hair, and he just gave me a little wave, said thanks. And
wait a minute.
Yeah.
He wasn't wearing a helmet?
No helmet. No, he's like Kerry Fraser.
How about that?
Okay. I just assumed, frankly, that he was wearing a helmet. And I was sort of like, how did you know that it was him? Okay. It's Arnold.
I follow
so
Arnold Schwarzenegger on social media, Snapchat and the rest. And he always loves to cycle. Usually it's up the boardwalk in Venice Beach in LA, or it's, usually along the water, some beautiful, or he's been biking past the White House, but not downtown Toronto. And he waved, and then a couple seconds later, some guy who was clearly his security came biking in behind him, and he just kept going. And it was kind of one of those, wait, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it was kind of a fun little moment.
Not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but what was he doing in Toronto? If you follow him on his social, you must know why he's there.
Yeah, he's in town filming. Now, I don't know if it's a new movie or if it's another episode of his Netflix show, Fubar, but he's in town filming a project.
Okay, cool. There's your story, everybody. Case closed.
How about that?
The other thing that's going on today is I'm trying to decide on whether or not I'm going to fly back to Florida for the Stanley Cup parade for the Panthers. As of 2 hours ago, as you know, I was very hot to trot to do it. And now I'm sitting here going, why would I really do that?
When are you going to do it again?
Jeff the Stamps fan says, Arnold needs security? It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not my thing.
He's worth over $1 billion.
Surprise me. Okay. Allie in Texarkana says, Arnold should be wearing a helmet. Anything could happen. I feel like he should be wearing a helmet. Sure. And Allie goes on to say, tell Serena I'm sorry for her, Rod, with her Oilers losing last night in Game 7. She's down there. She went to the game last night. It was pretty interesting. I was going to send you a screenshot, and I didn't. I thought I didn't want to annoy your evening, Darren, but you could see Serena very clearly in the crowd because everybody was wearing red, and then she was there in an Oilers jacket with her bright platinum blonde hair. She was not hard to pick out. She's very rarely hard to pick out. But I didn't send you the screenshot. I could have showed you where she was. But I just won't allow any teams winning or losing to really affect my mood too much. I was a little nervous going into the game because I want Florida to win. But she's racked with anxiety going into the game, out of the game. I knew, but the other thing is that's just her. So I let her be, let her do her thing. And she can speak for herself. We'll bring her on here in the future. Because I have not yet got to what's next for the Oilers, and maybe that's something that we should do here. Do we see them coming back, being competitive in the Stanley Cup final next year? Just to let you know what goes on in my life, Darren knows this because he's been around me long enough. I get up in the morning, try to work out. I've taken a month off, and I feel like a fat piece of trash. It's been awesome. I've been eating pizza and blizzards almost every day. But I'm like, I can't do that. So I did end up going out for a run today, and Joe's got a stationary bike from 1963 that I'm going to get dusted off and get working on it. But what I do really like in the morning is I flip on Sports Center, and where I got started on that, interestingly enough, I get on Sports Center in the morning and I just see what they're saying. I just want to know what they're saying, right? I think you're the same. Serena quite often when we're together will come home and go, why do you got that on? I'm like, I want to hear what they're saying. She doesn't care. So, but I do care. And it was the guys on the ice, Dreger, whoever, Pierre LeBrun, they were all talking about what's next for the Oilers next year. They said Ken Holland, the GM, doesn't even have a contract. And I think we all know that Leon Draisaitl, as they said, is eligible for an extension. Do you even want to bring back the entire Edmonton Oilers team if you're the Oilers and if you're other fans? Because there were a lot of goats, too. I'm not going to name names. Everybody knows Darnell Nurse gets, he's the whipping boy there in Edmonton. But do we expect them to come back as competitive? No teams come back the same, but how much change will there be? Have you looked into this much?
Yeah, there will be change, no doubt. That $9.5 million contract from Darnell Nurse, feels like a bit of an albatross, hanging over them in opportunity because guys are going to want to get paid. Evan Bouchard will want to get paid, and he'll want probably to be in that $10 million range. You'll want to get paid like an elite defenseman. He proved that he can be that in the playoffs. He was a huge piece. When I look at, you talk about if they're going to come back, I didn't really care who won. I was feeling, good for the Oilers because, Serena, one of my great friends, Phil, who Troy Koser, really wanted the Oilers to win. For all these people, right, that I like and I have all this time for. But as the game went on and the game ended, I felt really at peace and I felt really good about it because the Panthers winning made me feel good. The way that they lost last year, the way that they had to lose these 3 games to learn how to win in 7, the adversity, Paul Maurice, obviously. And for the Oilers, I feel like nobody's waking up crapping all over the Oilers. And so this cup celebration is a celebration. Whereas the Oilers winning would have been an incredible celebration and an iconic moment, but it also would have been about 50% of people crapping on Florida for choking and for being, the biggest losers since 1940s, right? And we don't need that in sports. We don't need that around the Stanley Cup. So I felt good. And for that reason, I feel really good about Edmonton coming right back here next year or right back the year after or in the next 2 to 3. And as Paul Maurice pointed out, and we've seen with the Panthers, 9 different players that weren't with the Panthers last year and 9 players that were there in the final against Vegas that weren't back. So Edmonton's going to have turnover. But if you look at McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Bouchard, and Skinner, that's a pretty good core that you can win with. The other pieces around are just complementary.
Darren rattling off a fantastic analysis because I have spent this much time thinking about the Oilers. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Because I'm looking at everything from a Florida perspective, and I'll tell you a couple things on that. You're right. Had the Panthers lost, that would have been certainly the story in America and 50% of the story in Canada, them choking. And I think about them, could they have slept Sunday night and the pressure on them? But it's like, if it's what you do, you shouldn't really feel the pressure. So I can't really put myself in their skates. But it reminds me of this. You know this story, but the viewers won't know it. And I'm going to tell it because I smile because they'll love it, I think. I said this yesterday. I was born to broadcast. It's all I've ever wanted to do. And aside from helping others in my other, the recovery world, it's all I ever really want to do is broadcast. That's what comes naturally to me. So the World Juniors, 2012, it's still not a big deal, but it was between the bronze medal game and the gold medal game. They played them on the same day. I'm calling the national radio feed with Sammy Cosentino. Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro are calling the television feed nationally. And Canada had just beaten Finland to win the bronze. And then we had like 90 minutes in between games for them to clear the rink out, the Saddle Dome in Calgary, and then bring the people back in for the gold medal game, which was to be Sweden and Russia. And Ray Ferraro, I was sitting there in the press box of the Saddle Dome like this, playing Pac-Man on my phone. And Ray Ferraro, I just hear this voice. I recognize the voice. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Huh? What are you doing?" "I'm playing Pac-Man on my phone." "I just died." And he's like, he starts laughing. And he goes, "Don't you have game prep to get ready for the game or something?" "No, bro, I've been calling their games for 2 weeks. I know the numbers. I know everything about them. Let's get the game going." But that's what I do. Doesn't matter that it was on 22 radio stations across Canada and Sportsnet 590 anchored out of Toronto. That's what I do. So that didn't make me nervous, but I'm not a player or a coach. Do you see my point? But if you're Bob or if you're Paul Maurice or if you're Matthew Tkachuk, I don't really think they would have been nervous. Because if that's what you were born to do, that's what you do. Right?
Yeah, you make it sound easy. I don't know.
I lost his audio. Is that me or him? I can't hear you.
I don't know. Am I good? 1, 2. I hear from the guys.
Or you?
And
you talk,
and
I'll get this fixed.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, interesting. But I don't see a way that those guys weren't nervous going into Game 7. Just because it's your job, playing hockey. I think playing hockey is your job. Winning a Stanley Cup's not your job. That's something you got to earn. Everybody's going to go out and play, but winning a Stanley Cup is it's not your job. So it's different. That's part of it. But there's no way you're not nervous, for those moments. And do we got him back?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how that happened. I got you.
Weird.
Usually I got you.
Okay.
Usually it's a warning that I can hear that I've lost the audio. Today we didn't get a warning. But anyways, that's the thing. So, yeah, I'm just saying, Darren, there was obviously mild nerves on behalf of both teams, but I don't think it was debilitating nerves. I'll be honest. Neither team played last night like they were nervous. Did you think they did?
No, and they played free, and that was what was, so great about the game. And the Oilers and the fans will say that they didn't play as good as they normally do and all the rest. And I would say, well, the Panthers played better, and they're a suffocating defensive team, so they take a lot of things away. I thought both teams played free. I didn't think the game was full of mistakes. It wasn't full of power plays. It wasn't full of penalties. It wasn't full of those things. It was two teams leaving it all out on the ice. And at the end of the day, the Panthers were a little bit better than Edmonton was. And that's what you like to see. You don't want to see the Oilers win the Stanley Cup 8-1 if you're, and have the Panthers not really compete, or the other way around. Both teams competed. It was a 1-goal game. It was Game 7. It was beautiful. It was awesome.
Tell them about your vision.
Okay. So, weirdly, I'm watching the game, and I'm a guy who gets invested, so I'm pacing around a little bit because I'm nervous. I don't know who's going to win, the fan bases, all the rest. And I'm standing, not sitting on the in the chair, but I'm standing up beside the coffee table watching. And when Kulikov dove and knocked that puck out from the crease with the open net, and then it goes up the wall, and Reinhardt's got it, and Skinner's in a good spot, and he beats him to score. I just had a feeling, and what I saw as I'm looking at my TV was I could see myself watching that on a TV screen on the wall in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I saw the artifacts around, and I was watching it like a display in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I just knew it was only 2-1, and the Oilers had scored right after, the Panthers opened the scoring. I just knew that was going to be an iconic moment. What happened in the defensive zone, right back to a goal. I knew it was going to be a legendary Stanley Cup moment, and it turns out it's the moment that won them the Stanley Cup.
People are saying it was a bad goal by Skinner to give up, and I've seen that too. No, it wasn't. The guy's a sniper.
Beat by a good shot.
Very hard. Was not a bad goal to give up. Just a note before we break, and we're going to do full-on viewer takeover when we come back. But Buffalo Bill writes in from the US of A, and he says, "Lucky you, Rod. I'm still trying to figure out my life purpose. Lucky you knowing yours." I don't know that anything I say Buffalo Bill will register with you, but I'll tell you this. I was sitting at a pub outside lunch, Peel Street, downtown Montreal, with a guy by the name, I won't say his name, but he used to be the sober coach for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not sure he still is. The recovery coach for the Montreal Canadiens. Shortly before I started doing it. And I think I was like you. Oh, I was complaining about not knowing my purpose in life. And he just said, "Stop!" He goes, "Here's a term you'll get, you puckhead. Stop chasing the puck. Let the puck come to you. Just relax. You're chasing, yapping, talking. I'll just stop. Slow down and listen. And see what opportunities are coming to you." Changed my life. Stop me. And listen to what's going on. Why am I the voice of the Moose Jaw Millers this afternoon, or this summer? Why am I living in South Florida? Why are all these things happening? Because I just slowed down and said, what's coming to me? Stop chasing everything. There you go. So when I did enter recovery 10 years ago and got sober, and I didn't want to go public with the story, I was encouraged to do so. All of a sudden, people from across the country started coming to me for help. I didn't plan that. Listen, okay? Stop talking. And I'm going to stop talking for 4 minutes. We'll be right back here on the RP Show on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastih.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Jumping right back into it, everybody. Before we bring the Moose back in, just a reminder, the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team's heating up their season, led by former NBA Raptor Jalen Harris, with talent and coaching staff from the Los Angeles Clippers. Be sure to get your tickets now. Do not miss the action at SaskTel Center this summer. Visit Ticketmaster or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. Please bring the Moose in. And the Rattlers are home Saturday night to the Niagara River Lions. I haven't decided if I'm even going to be around for it or not. But everybody, go to cebl.ca, check the schedule, catch a game this summer. Hockey ended last night. I'm asking everybody, what does your summer look like? For me, it's watching CFL as much as I can, swatting mosquitoes, going to the lake. That's our summer in Western Canada. Moose is all of that, plus a little golf. And I said we would open this, or maybe a lot of golf for you. I haven't golfed in 3 years. That'll surprise nobody that knows me. Darren, I said we're going to open this up to the viewers. Scott here in Moose Jaw writes in, he says, bad goal let in by Skinner, but Grant Fuhr said it best, the kid will be just fine. And then he says, since you love pizza so much, you need to get Roto's. Best pizza around. I'll just say that I ordered Western Pizza last night for Game 7 because I wanted to know that I was going to have a good night. I was not in the mood for experimenting or trying something new. I haven't had Roto's since 1983. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I knew if I had Western Pizza, it was going to be good. And it was. On Paul Maurice, this guy, Darren, by the name of Steve Johnson, wrote us on Twitter last night and said, did Paul Maurice indicate he's retiring after wishing the Winnipeg Jets win the next Stanley Cup? I don't think he did at all. I said last hour, be careful who you run out of town. That's not just to Winnipeggers. That's to anybody in sports. And Brian in Hudson Bay writes in and says, from what I remember, Winnipeg didn't run Maurice out of town. He quit on them. If a player would have done that, they would have been known as a quitter by the organization. But somehow it was okay for Maurice to do it. I don't really care one way or the other. It just seems to be a double standard. Holy can of worms. I thought it was honorable what he did. I will never forget it. It was on my birthday 3 years ago. I was standing in the parking lot of the First Bank in Boca Raton, Florida. My phone goes off. Bing, Paul Maurice has stepped down. So it was December 16th, 2021, as head coach of the Jets. However you want to see it, man. He was viewed as the problem, was he not? He's just like, I'll just remove myself. That's how I took that. And I also don't think he was indicated that he's going to retire last night. But what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't get the vibe he was going to retire. He may, though. He may want to. This is what he was looking to win, and accomplish. I don't know. It's not the sense I got. And when he left Winnipeg, my sense, looking back on it now, guys like Hustler and Remus and Sean Reynolds and these guys in Winnipeg will know much more accurately than I will. But my sense is that you had a good team in Winnipeg that had taken a couple of runs, never got to the Stanley Cup final. And what we learn now is I feel like Paul Maurice was hanging or was holding that room together and that culture together by a thread. And all the things he did to push that team to get to the cup, because he talked about the buttons he was pressing weren't having the same effects anymore that they used to. And he can only press the buttons, and if the buttons don't have any reaction, what else can he do? So they were on a decline. They didn't know what to do. He leaves. What we learned shortly after, when he was gone, is all those culture issues, locker room issues got exposed. Took a year or two. They cleaned him up, brought in Rick Bowness, and the team actually moved into a better situation. So Pomo actually left the Jets better than he found them. And him stepping aside actually allowed the Jets to clean up their issues and get better, allowed Paul to get better. That's the definition of a win-win.
It is, but I'm going to say something that I'm not sure you're even old enough to understand, and I say that respectfully. But I was just doing studying on this in the recovery world the other day that said there's a difference between quitting and walking away. They're two different things. You kind of just explained that, so maybe you do understand. And this isn't my concept. It was what I was reading in my recovery work and the training that I have. There's a difference between quitting and walking away. And Brian wrote in and said if that was a player, you'd call him a quitter, but because he's a coach, how come he gets away with it? I'm sure it hurt Paul Maurice a lot to do that and just say, you're better off without me. And, what? What?
No, you're right. I see it. It's like going on a road trip. If you get halfway and a phone call comes, you're like, oh, guys, I'm out of the road trip. I'm out. I got other things I got to do. You're quitting on your friends. But if the car is stalled on the side of the road and you can't get it going after trying a couple of times, eventually you just got to walk away. And that's not quitting on the road trip. That's just saying, look, guys, it's just not happening. We're going to walk away from this. It's different. There's a difference. I understand it.
For those that don't understand, if you think Paul Maurice is a quitter on the Jets, you're probably never going to see it any other way. But he walked away. It's different. Regarding what does your summer look like, Ryan in Saratoga, New York writes in and he says, my summer, taking a course at church, CFL, reviewing movies, and baseball. Maybe a trip to the Yogi Berra Museum in New Jersey. It's going to be fun. Morning, fellas. The boys are here, Moose, which, right on cue. Almost as if that was a God shot. I'll tell you something. I talked to a former NHL coach about 2 months ago. I think it was before this Moose Jaw Miller baseball thing came up. We were talking on the phone, just shooting the spit. And I said, did you ever get to a point where you didn't want to coach anymore? You didn't want to do it anymore? He goes, yep. And it was here. And I'll be honest with you, what he said was, he goes, it was in Vancouver. He goes, I should have quit in October because I just didn't want to go to the rink. I didn't enjoy it anymore. But I didn't quit. And I got fired at the end of March anyways. Might as well have quit. But he goes, but something happened that rekindled my love for it. And he goes, and I hope that happens for you. And literally within a couple weeks, I said I was going to come to Canada for the summer, and the Moose Jaw Millers said, well, we're looking for a broadcaster. Would you be interested? And it's rekindled my love for doing that. Because it's this, the player, I try to get them away. Like, don't come near me, you guys. I'm just here to call the game. Oh, they're always bugging me, and, that Bobby Picorni is the teacher's pet. He's my favorite, and the families are coming up. Can we get pictures? That's the fun stuff. It's not the having the team president or chairman of the team in your booth going, I need you to say this, this, and this. And you gave this guy the game star. No, it should be this guy because of this, because this guy's dad bought us all new jerseys. And don't say this, say this. Don't say this, say that. That's not happening here. It's just fun. Isn't it interesting that right on cue, when that coach said that happened with the baseball. And it's a sport that I'd never, ever before done. Wild, eh?
I know. The universe works in strange and mysterious and,
does it ever?
ways, right? Mysterious ways. It's just one of those life things.
Mm-hmm. On the, regarding bad boys, you weren't on with me last hour. I just explained, I'll give you $1,000 if you get me a bag of Skittles. There's literally a lot of pearls in that movie. I think that'll become iconic movie lines. It's one of those movies that there's so much going on and so fast that you got to go back a second time. How many times did you end up going to Top Gun? Top Gun's different. That wasn't funny. This is funny. But there's
Top
funny
Gun
movies.
For me, was an emotional movie. It was like, that one hits me, and it's like, it makes me feel good. And I'll watch that to eternity. I even bought it digitally so I can watch it whenever I want now. I went at least 10 times in the theater. I never go to movies more than once. I'll tell you, Top Gun, I went at least 10 times, thanks to Landmark. And Bad Boys, it was so funny. I'll go back a second time for sure. Like, Martin Lawrence had a gun to his head, and he was more worried about Will Smith catching him eating the hot dog than about the guy with the gun to his head. Hilarious.
The show is unbelievable. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Again, it's not for everybody, but it's for me. It was goofy. It was dumb. It was shoot 'em up. It was palm trees and sports cars and bikinis.
Sorry. When his son, they're watching his son-in-law on the security camera in the house. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying not to spoil the movie, but it's funny.
Hey, he's behind us, isn't he? When they were at the barbecue.
I'm going to let him cook the chicken.
Vintage Sasko writes in on the text line 902-518-3033. He goes, I thought McDavid would come out for the Conn Smythe Trophy, but was hoping for no on-ice interview. I still remember the award Jason Claremont interview, the awkward Jason Claremont interview in the 2004 Grey Cup after he won the Most Outstanding Canadian award after the Lions lost. Awkward. You know the awkward turtle? Back to the poll question today. Should a player from the losing team ever win the Conn Smythe? The last I looked, it's like close to 70% of people saying yes. I don't even know why it's a question. It is awkward. And we spent a lot of time in the opening segment talking about this, that McDavid didn't even come out to receive the Conn Smythe. But because he's Connor McDavid, and everybody loves him, and he's clearly a good guy, he's getting a pass. And by the way, I'll give him a pass. I'm not saying he should have. I don't know. Used to be that you did. Now you don't. Times have changed. But if the MVP didn't play in the winning team, then damn rights he should get the trophy. For honest, I don't even know what's the question. It's weird. As I say, Hextall did it in 87. But I'm a goalie guy, and he was clearly the MVP of the playoffs. So if a guy is clearly the MVP, give him the damn award.
He did it in 87. Gare did it in 03. And McDavid did it in 2024. I'm cool with it. If it was something that was happening every year, every 2 or 3 years, if it was more regular, I think I'd have a problem with it. But we're talking about once every 20 years. Not a big deal.
Tell me quick, you got a minute, about the voting. I didn't see the votes, but you were saying this morning you did?
Yeah, pretty much it was McDavid consensus first, Barkov consensus second, and a mismatch of third place votes. A lot of Forsling third place votes. Verhaeghe got some. Interestingly enough, Bobrovsky got 1 first place vote and 2 third place votes, and that's it. So I think those 3 losses. I think he was first until those 3 losses.
It's a democracy, they tell me. I guess that's why we have a vote. We're done, Moose. We'll see you later. Good job.
You bet. Thank you.
We're heading out to Alberta next. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Peterson Show.
RP Show is brought to you in part by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. Well, weekly we do the WCBL report, Western Canadian Baseball League. I broadcast the Moose Jaw Millers games, and tonight we welcome the Saskatoon Berries. It's a real treat to welcome the general manager, Tyler Hollick, and the head coach, Lou Pote, of the Okotoks Dogs, because they're home tonight to Sylvan Lake, joining us from the facility, I can only imagine. Good morning, gentlemen. I appreciate the time here today. And I'm gonna start with you, Tyler, and then I'm gonna probably read a little bit of Lou's resume before I get to him. But just another great season for the Dogs, Tyler. Do you guys ever get tired of winning 17-2, leading the league overall?
No, I don't think anybody gets tired of winning. But no, it's been a really good run. We got a really good group of guys here, and the fans have been coming out in droves, so it's been a really good start to the year, and yeah, we just hope to keep it going.
Even before I was in the league broadcasting games, we all knew that the brand of the Dogs is they're the top dog. How is this season, though, different from the past? I mean, you won multiple championships, pack in the park. I've seen the photos, but every season's different. How's this one different?
Yeah, I think it's different in the fact that we've won back-to-back years, and I think the expectations are a little bit higher even here. I mean, I think every year we walk in, we expect and hope, along with our fans, to win the championship and continue to build on our past successes. But once you're kind of there, you kind of have that target on your back every night. So I find a lot of teams will play like it's their World Series, and the reality is we got to show up every night, be ready to play. So. There's some really cool, fan additions that we've had this year that make it a little bit unique. We added a new seating section and an 80-foot ribbon board in left center, and just tying that all in to try and make it a more major league or professional experience for the fans. And every season's unique in its own way, but to have the core returning players back kind of gives some familiarity and I think helps us be consistent for sure. But yeah, definitely with that target on our back, we're just trying to try and maintain that winning culture.
Well, you're right. Everybody wants to beat the Dogs, but only two teams have, or it's happened twice this year. So to Lou, that's a wonderful segue to you, who's sitting right beside you. So Lou, if you don't mind, Lou, I'm just going to read everybody from Evergreen Park, Illinois, originally drafted by the Giants in 1990, traded to the Montreal Expos in 1995, and played in the bigs with the Angels and the Indians. Everybody loves the Expos, Lou. You know that. Obviously, an American from Illinois, what's attracted you to the WCBL and Okotoks?
Well, I played up here for Edmonton Trappers. That was my first experience up here. And then married, had kids, and coached in Fort McMurray, and then eventually came down here, wanted my kids to be a part of the program along with myself, to work with kids, and it's been a perfect fit for me. I love the town. I love the people in the town. I love the facilities, everything about it. It's just, it's awesome. It's like baseball paradise.
Whoa, I like that. Well, the thing about I've been with winning programs, losing programs, mediocre programs. And the nice thing with what you've got going on is you have the winning thing. It attracts players. It's all, that can go on for a long time. And that's kind of what you got going on, right? People want to play in Okotoks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the cool thing for me being the head coach is having a lot of guys that came through the academy. That they were the fans. They were the little kid trying to get autographs, and then to experience opening day, Canada Day, and see their faces and see, because a lot of them don't get to play in front of huge crowds like we have here. So a lot of times it's their first time playing in this atmosphere. So to be a part of it and to get be a part of them experiencing that's the cool thing. Being a part of the academy and being a part of this program.
Well, Tyler, and let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I look at Lou's resume here. Trappers, obviously, but over in Japan, playing over there, winning a championship. When you got a skipper that's been in the shoes of the players, it doesn't get better than that, right? They're going to listen to a guy like that. So, obviously, Lou's a big part of what you're doing there.
Yeah, massive. And I think it's a little bit underrated what Lou does because he's been their coach at at 11 and 12 years old at the 13U level, and then at the 15U level, at the 18U level. And he's been with us for over 10 years. So for them to be able to grow up with Lou and obviously to pick his brain and get his, tutelage, he's also played for some of the best and most renowned coaches in the world, Mike Sosha and Joe Madden and Bud Black, all these, Bob Melvin, all these great coaches. And to kind of be able to piggyback that experience. And, it's one thing to be a successful coach at one age or one level, but Lou's proven to be an unbelievable, asset and mentor to every age, and they've grown up with him. So it's a huge part of our success at the academy level, and a big reason why we're who we are at the college level as well.
So could you talk about the blend of your roster between the local kids versus the U.S. players and recruiting them?
Yeah, well, having the academy is a huge part of our team. We have guys that have been playing here since 11 or 12U, right, or 13U. So they know the atmosphere, they know the culture and they're the biggest part of the culture that welcoming in players from the United States. So we're only as good as the culture that they set, that we've kind of created here since they were 13U, and when the guys from the States come in, they welcome them with open arms, and these guys, they know how to win, they know what it takes to win, and it makes my job a lot easier, our job a lot easier, because these guys welcome everybody in and make them feel comfortable. And as a player, when I got to the big leagues, it was a little bit different where guys were, you were a rookie, you kind of had couldn't say too much. And then as I got to, a couple years in, the veterans started letting the younger players be themselves. And that's, and when you can be yourself and go out there and play free, I mean, it just makes you a better baseball player. So our guys do a tremendous job in that, in the culture that we've created and that they create with the U.S. players.
I think it's important to note too, just quickly on Lou's point, that the roster, although it's a 3-month season in college summer baseball, Lou and the rest of the coaching staff, 4 of their coaches on the staff, it's a year-round recruiting job of putting in the right pieces to filter around those academy players and getting players from top schools from across the country at the Division I and on Division II and junior college level to come in and be major pieces of our team right away. And I think that's a big reason of our success this year is we've had some added pieces that aren't returners that are here for the first time experiencing these crowds in Canada and Canada's premier college baseball league is those additional pieces with those returners from big time programs. So it's a really good product on the field and honestly just getting to know the guys a little bit off the field in their first month here. It's a really good group too. So it's a job well done early on for sure. But it's a year round thing for sure.
Yeah, well, anything worth having takes work, right? But that's the thing about the WCBL. It's everybody is very respectful of it. They know the caliber of baseball and the way that it's run. Unfortunately, you guys won't be through Moose Jaw this year, but I'll be seeing you at the All-Star Game July 20th in Okotoks. Whoever of you wants to take this, I need the answer to this. What's the secret sauce to the Okotoks Pack in the Park? Because out here in Moose Jaw, or out here in Saskatchewan, people say, how come Calgary doesn't have a team? I'm like, well, they do. It's Okotoks. I mean, is that Calgary people in your park, or is it Okotoks people, or all of Southern Alberta? How would you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, we attract fans, I would say regionally and provincially, sometimes, interprovincially or nationally, but it's the community. It starts with the community. It's an unbelievable, fan base we get right from our 33,000 person town. We're about 50-50 in terms of attendance from Okotoks, Foothills area. And then we're only about 15 minutes south of Calgary, which surprises a lot of people. The stadium and just this entire venue is a gem. It was voted best ballpark in North America across all college summer baseball last year. And, the vision that John Arcandi, our founding and managing director, had, over 20 years ago to create this, this program from the academy level and then transition into the college team as they got older and wanted to play higher level ball is pretty special. So it is our mantra's family, affordable, fun. And, I think it's a really good time for a date night or, a couple guys to grab a beer and watch a ball game, or a family to come out on our berm and just enjoy a really high caliber baseball game at an affordable price. So there's a lot of, I think, ingredients that go into that secret sauce. And obviously the venue is a big part of it, our outstanding community and just the team itself and kind of all the fan friendly, things we can kind of do there. But it's definitely grown every year. We averaged about 4,600 people a night last year. And, we're slightly ahead of that average right now, but they just keep coming out and supporting their hometown team. So it's been a good year for sure so far.
It's a dream, and for me, it's fantastic to be a part of it out here in Moose Jaw, Ross Wells. Well, guys, thanks for this. I'll see you at the All-Star Game. I appreciate the time today. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, guys. Tyler Hollick, the general manager, Lou Pote, the head coach of the Okotoks Dogs. We talk WCBL weekly here in that time slot. We'll be right back with Overtime after this, live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, everybody, I'm just filling in the sports update, so hang on. Overtime is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Man, we got a lot of friends in Cowtown, don't we? And by the way, they're asking that you sign up online for their summer camps for kids. That's the best way to do it. OvertimeHL.ca. Summer camps for kids. What else could there be? Drop them off at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Thank us later. What do we say? Baseball has batting cages. I'm looking at them right now. Golf courses have driving ranges. Why wouldn't you have shooting lanes for hockey? Well, they do in Calgary. It's Overtime Hockey Lanes. And you're looking for fun and affordable things to do for your kids. And let's be honest, get them out of your hair this summer. Check out Overtime Hockey Lane. Stop in and see him, 28th Street Northeast. Randy and Michelle, tell them, please, that Rod sent you. They bring you Overtime here daily. And we do have news. Tampa Bay Lightning head coach John Cooper will lead Canada at the 2025 Four Nations Face-Off and the 2026 Winter Olympics. Hockey Canada has announced. It'll be John's first time as Canada's head coach since leading the national men's team to a silver medal at the 2017 Worlds. John Cooper from Prince George, BC, has led the Tampa Bay Lightning to 4 Stanley Cup finals, including back-to-back wins in 20 and 21. The losing streak has reached 7 games for the Toronto Blue Jays, who continue a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park today. Boston overcame a 4-run deficit Monday night to score a 7-4 win in the opener. Toronto ace Kevin Gausman starts on the mound today against Boston's Brian Bayo. The Raptors have reportedly wrapped up Scotty Barnes for the next 5 years by signing the 22-year-old All-Star to a maximum extension worth up to $270 million. How about that? Sports Update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Seniors Day is Monday at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price, and to sweeten the deal, 20% off at the concessions too. So make Mondays your movie day, because a great deal never gets old. Okay, we got all that in. Let me dip in. Boy, did we cover a lot of topics today. And kept it largely very positive. A lot of hockey stuff here. Here in summer, because it's Canada and that's what we do. Phil Thompson writes in from Dauphin, Manitoba. And he says, good day, good day. It's Taco Tuesday. For the poll question, which, by the way, the poll question is, should a player from the losing team ever win the Conn Smythe Trophy as Stanley Cup playoff MVP? Phil in Thompson, Manitoba says, it's a big no for me. Especially how well Bobrovsky played. Deep down, I think Paul Maurice's interview should have won the Conn Smythe. Which interview? Because he's done a few. The one where he said he hopes the Winnipeg Jets win the next Stanley Cup. I feel like calling my Winnipeg peeps, of which there are many, and just saying, what is your take on that? Because it just blew everybody, took him for a loop, threw him for a loop. When Paul Maurice, you just won the Stanley Cup. and you want to insert in that very first interview that you want the Jets to win the next Stanley Cup. It's class that people just can't believe that that's what you're thinking when you just won the championship. Interesting, too, the guy that wrote in and said, was he signaling that he's going to retire? No, I don't think so. But what's Paul, 57? He's been at it for 30 years. We've been around this a while, haven't we? You've been watching this show for a while, haven't you? We're in year 6. What do I say? Don't make any decisions right after the season, both winning and losing. At the end, don't make any decisions. Wait a week. Wait 2. But I don't think Paul Maurice is talking about retiring. But after all those years in the NHL, and let's be honest, all that money he's made, I wouldn't think he wants to work. Or no, I wouldn't say he needs to work. If he's doing it, it's because he wants to. But, I mean, have you read the articles? Have you been following his career? I mean, the Winnipeg people have, and the Paul Maurice fans have. But did you see that when he left Winnipeg, he had never planned to coach again? When Bill Zito called him and said, would you consider coming down here? There's so many interesting stories of that in sports where when you walk away, and life, where you walk away, you're ready to walk away from something. You give up. And that's when opportunity knocks. It happens a lot. Colin in Ottawa says, good show, Roddy. Happy for you that your team won, even though I was cheering for the Oilers. Hey, there's a lot of people like that, man. I get it. Thank you, Colin in Ottawa. We did squeeze some Sens talk in there, too, as well. So thank you to Jeff Paterson, Tyler Hollick, Lou Pote. We'll do it all again tomorrow, talking more CFL as we work towards the weekend, but it was a big hockey day today. Thanks for enjoying it with us. Be good to yourself, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Who has more fun than us?